Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So I've been seeing the way that Muslims have been treated in real life and on social media. I've seen the faces and the reactions of Muslims. So I thought it's time to speak and say something. We all know what's been going on for, a few days. I don't have to mention it, but it's really starting to affect the Muslims and I'm seeing it. This is my message to my Muslim people. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam went through the years of sorrow. And I just feel like we're going through the years, if not the decades of sorrow as well. I'm going to tell you something that you probably don't want to hear from me. It's never going to get better. This is our test. This is what we're going through. But I want to remind every Muslim out there that the true Muslim is the one that looks at the bad things that happen to us, and he or she always sees good. Here's the good that I see. For years and decades, when the suffering of the Palestinian people and the Muslim people in general, all of the invasions and so on and so forth, the masses of Muslims has always looked to the world and says, don't you care about me? If this happened to your people, you would be beside yourself. If I did that to you, you would call it terrorism. Don't you hear the cries of our children and our women and our weak? Does anybody care about us? This is not fair. Life is not fair. It's just, the game is fixed. My brothers, my sisters, the answer to that is no. Nobody cares about us. Let me just tell you something. Please hear me out to the end. If the world woke up tomorrow morning and there was not one Muslim left on the planet, the whole entire world would have a celebration of the ages because you and I were gone. No, they don't like you. No, they don't like me. They don't like us. And they don't have to. Okay, so I said all that. Let me say this. This is the positive in this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is pushing us into a place in which we have to rely on Him alone. Gone are the days that we would rely on the United Nations or human beings just to have mercy in their hearts towards their fellow human beings. Brothers and sisters, if you didn't know it, those days are gone. Long gone, long gone. They're done. Don't you see in the social media what the people say about you and I? Don't you see it? Like I said, before all of this happened, you and I were terrorists. We are terrorists today. We are terrorists tomorrow, whether our women, our children, us, the men. We will always be terrorists in their eyes. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran 1400 plus years ago, the Jews and the Christians will never love you until they turn you away from Islam and you follow their religion. Is there any Muslims out there that want to follow the deen of Christians and the Jews? If the answer is no, and I hope that is no, barakallahu fikum, then you're going to have to accept the tests that are coming upon us. I've had to talk to my kids. I see the look on their face. I've had to talk to my wife. I see, the youth at the masajid, dragging their feet and looking down on the ground. So I think somebody has to stand up in the community and offer some solutions. You know what you do? You be the best Muslim that you can be. Increase in your ibadah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Constantly throughout the day and the night, remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Get your education, learn your deen. Like I said, there's a lot of people that are reverts and they're born Muslims and they're confused about their religion. Here's a question. If you are confused right now at this time, what's going to happen when the Dajjal comes? Yeah, the Dajjal, the master of deceivers. All the more reason to learn your deen today, right now. Get into a reputable school, www.arcview.org, that offers a lot of classes with teachers that are outstanding, that have an actual sanad all the way back to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Here's my message to the fathers, to the sons, to the brothers, to the youth. As the old saying goes, it's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. Now, I'm not calling the war or anything, so FBI, chill out for a minute. I want everybody to pay attention to the philosophy behind what I just said. Every man, every youth should be in top physical condition. We should have the best diet and the best of foods. We should be the most intellectual and wise wherever we go amongst the non-Muslims. We should have the best of manners. No matter what is going on in the world against us, we still have the best of manners. We offer the best of solutions to the non-Muslims. And here's another thing. As Muslims, we do not walk the earth with our head down in a state of weakness. Chest out, chin up. Stop apologizing for things that you didn't do. Stop changing the way you dress or the way you talk because you think someone won't like you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala calls you and I, the people that say La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, the best of creation. So if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is calling you and I, the Muslims, the best of creation, you better start acting like it. Again, chest out, chin up. You have absolutely nothing to be ashamed of, O Muslimin. Yeah, they hate you, they hate me, they hate our religion, our book, our prophet. Do you really care? I don't care. Wherever you walk in life, I don't care if you live in the West, you live here, you live there. Wherever you walk like a humble king wherever you go. Subhanallah, ikhwan. Time after time, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent down the Quran with solutions. The Sunnah, the example of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. We have things like, tahajjud and special times that we make dua. But ikhwan, when is the last time that you made dua? When is the last time that you told your wife and your kids, let's make dua? Make sure that you make dua before you go to bed tonight. There are so many things in the Quran al-Kareem that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala instructs us to do. But it's like we have this depression and we just look for every other solution on the planet except relying on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and looking to the Quran for the solutions and in the Sunnah as well. And my question is, how's that been going? Have you got the results that you're after? No. Turn to the Quran. Brothers and sisters, stop complaining. Nobody cares about you. Nobody cares if you live or you die. Trust me. They don't care what's going on in Palestine. They don't care what's happening with the Uyghurs or anything. Stop waiting for people that despise you and I and despise our religion and our book and our prophet to just somehow miraculously feel that you're human. They don't. And so the quicker that you learn that nobody cares about you, the better. I swear we have been complaining and complaining for 10 decades. I mean, yeah, we have a right to complain, but what does it really do? We look for the solutions. What are the solutions? I hear people, I see them on social media, they say, oh, if we only have a Khalid ibn al-Walid, if we only had a Salah ad-Din al-Ayyubi. Let me ask you something. Do you believe that Salah ad-Din al-Ayyubi, that he ever said, oh, if we ever had a Khalid ibn al-Walid in our times? No. He became Khalid ibn al-Walid. He knew his deen. He knew the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. He walked like a humble king wherever he went. He knew what he had to do. The odds were damn near impossible. But he knew this. But he still took a step forward for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and transformed into the person that he needed to be for the Muslims at that time. Brothers and sisters, the Salah ad-Din al-Ayyubi is not coming. Salah ad-Din al-Ayyubi, Khalid ibn al-Walid, Salman al-Farsi, nobody is coming for you. So when we wake up in the morning, we say, At-tawakkaltu ala Allah, wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa billahi al-ali al-azim. And now, when you say that, you have a real protector, al-Malik al-Muluk. You think that the conditions of the Muslims is really, really bad, and that we're despised in every single land. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I remind you, brothers and sisters, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one that plots and plans as well. And he is the best of planners. Just like those that stood with Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam in lines at Badr, they were faced with extinction. Even the Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he raised his hands to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and he said, if you don't give us victory, there will not be anybody to worship you. So here's my final point. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that he prefers the strong believer to the weak believer. And if you are a strong believer and you see a weak believer, help him to be strong. Whether it's physical, whether it's intellectual, whether it's with ilm, business, self-confidence, being a positive male role model, whole shot. We as Muslims cannot, at this point, especially at this point, just sit on the bench of life and not get into the game. To the people of the ilm, we need you. Positive male role models, we need you. Outdoorsmen, we need you. The people of the Quran, we need you the most. The muhaddithin, we need you. And if you're one of those people, like I always say, get in where you fit in. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.